a great day when you're hanging around. Nothing's ever gonna bring me down. Good times are coming our way. Whenever, wherever, whatever today.
Today is going to be a great day. I am Nikki G, your host. Welcome to the Lone Doctrine, the food for thought exploration station, and your place in making today better than yesterday. This month, we've been talking and exploring the topic of anxiety. As we explore further, I'd first like to share with you a guide to the basic anxiety of life by the Zen habits. Underlying much of what we do is an uncertainty, an anxiety, a fear, doubts, dissatisfaction. And we react to these anxieties, dissatisfaction, and uncertainty in so many unhelpful ways. We seek distraction, we eat unhealthy food, we procrastinate, we get caught in a cycle of anxiety and unhappiness. We lash out at others, we dwell in our loneliness, and then we get into denial about it all. If we could learn to deal with the basic anxiety of life, we would have much more ease and less struggle. So let's look at the anxiety underneath our problems. Each one has an external problem with the undercut of anxiety, fears, or uncertainty underneath the external problem. Let's take a look at a few. Feeling of being left out or the lack of belonging. We can all relate to this feeling of not belonging. Externally, the problem is not finding people you connect with, not having the connection in your daily life. But on top of that, we add the anxiety, the dissatisfaction of feeling like we're left out and don't belong. This is normal, but it's good to notice. How about finding your passion, optimizing your potential? The external problem is that you are in a job you're not passionate about, possibly. On top of that is the anxiety and dissatisfaction of not finding that passion or feeling like you are not optimizing your own potential. We can all relate to this too at some point in our lives. What about headaches? Headaches prevent me from building a career and paying my way properly, and it affects my self-worth. The external problem, bad headaches leading to career and financial problems, is very real and not easy to deal with. But on top of that, we have anxiety about it all. And we add self-criticism. Most of us do, right? Self-doubt and downgrading of our self-image. That phase of anxiety before change occurs. The external issue is that we're facing a big change. And then because it's the situation filled with great uncertainty, we feel anxiety about it. How about beginning self-improvement? Reading books, taking classes, listening to this podcast, and not using and putting the material or putting the action steps into, pun intended, action. The external problem is not finding the time or energy to use the materials. That brings about anxiety on ourselves by not living up to our own potential, not taking advantage of opportunities, not doing what we hope we do. I think we can all relate to this at some point in our lives. Here's the anxiety behind the addiction to social media, videos, and our cell phones. The external problem is the distractions that keep pulling our attention. But the anxiety is that we feel addicted and feel something is wrong with us for not being less distracted. In addition, the addiction is probably a coping mechanism for dissatisfaction with the moment in front of us or anxieties in all other parts of life. Sometimes feeling helpless and empty for a reason you can't identify. Only time makes that go away, but I feel that sometimes that time can be wasted. There's probably an external situation that's causing a feeling of uncertainty, anxiety, dissatisfaction, or even helplessness. But the real problem is the feelings about it all, the uncertainty and anxiety about it all, and the anxiety about wasting the time it takes to get over it. I think we can all relate to these problems, to not only the external situation, but also the reactions we have. There's a fundamental anxiety and dissatisfaction that runs through the human condition about whatever we're experiencing in life, about other people, and about ourselves. So how do we deal with it all? Those are just a few examples. Where does basic anxiety come from? It's good to start by recognizing why we have basic anxiety. It's caused by uncertainty about life, about the current situation, about a person, wanting certainty, stability when life isn't stable or certain, dissatisfaction with the above facts, which is also dissatisfaction with our situation, ourselves, and others. If you sit right now for 5 to 10 minutes and just pay attention to your breath, you'll likely notice the fundamental anxiety. It results in wanting to stop paying attention to the breath, wanting the meditation to be over, wanting to get on with the tasks of life, wanting distraction, thinking that the exercise is stupid, wanting to think about the problems that you have. But instead of running from this anxiety, instead of getting away from it into thinking about problems or getting out of the meditation, what if we just stayed with it and paid attention to it? If we can get in touch with this fundamental anxiety that we suffer through in life, we can start to work with it. So here's how to start learning to deal with basic anxiety. Instead of running from the anxiety, instead of trying to cope by using distractions, food, shopping, alcohol, drugs, we're going to find the courage to face it with a smile. Here's a few ideas, some food for thought on how to work with it. Face the physical feeling. Drop out of the story that's spinning around in your head that's causing the anxiety. Instead, just be mindful of how your body feels. What does the anxiety feel like? And where in your body is it located? Stay with it and be curious about it. Don't run. Just stay with the physical feeling. Instead of rejecting it and wanting it to stop, just open up to it and see it with curiosity. What does it feel like? Does it change? What kind of reaction does your mind have to the feeling? And stop and just smile at it. Develop a feeling of friendliness towards the physical sensations of anxiety. See it as one of the fundamental realities of your existence and learn to be friends with it. See this as a chance to work with something that will be with you for your entire life, an opportunity to get comfortable with the discomfort. If you can do that, you'll need coping mechanisms a lot less. And open yourself up to a bigger space. Our normal way of relating to this feeling is wanting to reject it because we're stuck in a small-minded, self-centered way of seeing it. I say that without judgment. It's just something that we sometimes do. Instead, we can start to touch the wide open space in our minds like a blue sky, not a small space, but an expansive space. In this open space, we hold the anxiety like a cloud against the backdrop of a blue sky, but not lost in the clouds. We can see the anxiety, but also see it like a cloud. It's temporary. It's not that solid. It's not all-encompassing, and it's just floating by. The wide open space of our mind is always available to us. It's that simple, and yet it's not always easy. Sometimes the anxiety we feel is small, just a bit of tightness in our chest once we investigate it, but sometimes it's quite big, a looming depression or manic energy that we just can't tolerate. So face it in small doses, just for a minute, just for a moment. Continue to work with it in small, tolerable doses until you start to trust that you'll be okay if you face it and smile at it. Once we start to touch on this anxiety and we start to face it with courage, stay with it like a good friend would. We start to realize it's not so bad. It's just something that comes up, like a ripple in a pond, like a breeze in a field, and it will eventually go away. We don't need to panic. We don't need to run. We can relax, invite it to tea, and see that nothing else is required. Instead, we stay, we give it love, and see that this place of uncertainty we're in is absolutely perfect as it is. This exploration really resonated in so many ways. Did it with you? For you? The biggest takeaway I found was the power in facing our anxiety. So many of us spend an exhausting amount of energy on avoiding our more difficult emotions, which can lead us down a very treacherous path. It can lead us towards what I like to call the temporary escapes. It could be drowning ourselves in TV, binge watching, social media, cat videos, dog videos, food, eating bad. Then it can even get worse with drugs and alcohol. So before it becomes too late, I encourage you to realize that even though in the past you may have had difficulties pushing through the hard times, even if you still have a hard time, it's never too late to make a difference to face the music. I find there's great strength and courage in facing your emotions. You are human. You are human and you have emotions. Even just one step at a time makes a huge difference. It's a compound effect that will lead you towards a better way of life, and this is the only life you're going to get, and that is the truth. So could I ask you a favor? Would you mind going over to iTunes and leaving us a review? Not only do we love hearing from you, but it helps others find us in the search engine. The more reviews we have, the better, and we could really use your help. So if you found value in the Lone Doctrine, we'd love for you to share it, and we'd love to hear from you. Thank you in advance, and we look forward to hearing your thoughts, and an extra thank you for tuning in, and until next time, keep fighting the good fight.
It's a great day